All right. Let's get this video started. So I'm streaming this live for the first time ever. Well, first time ever for me, and first time ever for this deck, at least I hope. So while people are joining in, let's start with the deck list. Today we've gotten some new exciting spoilers, some new steel cards. So I'll talk about them first. We've gotten Prince Eric as a 2-drop. So he's a 1/3 quest for 1, a 2 ink costed, I guess he's Storyborn Hero Prince. And whenever he attacks, he gets to become a 3/3 whenever he challenges, otherwise he's just a 1/3. So 1/3 is a little bit weak, but 3/3 is actually good for a 3-drop. So as a 2-drop, he's going to be quite offensive. The other new card that we've gotten is Fracassé, or Smash, as is the current thought of translation, which is deal damage to chosen character. Very simple, somewhat efficient removal. So we'll be playing 4 copies of each, and then we'll round up the deck. Since we're playing steel, we're going to be playing Fire the Cannons, so we'll have the 2 damage, 3 damage Wombo combo. We'll be playing 4 copies of Captain Hook to get our Fire the Cannons back. In terms of 3-drops, we're going to be playing Hercules and Kristoff. I like Kristoff because of the 2 lore that he brings to the table. And then it's time to present our second color, which is going to be Amethyst. And the main reason I want to play Amethyst is to play Maleficent. Because Maleficent is this super effective damage dealer that keeps on questing. And by damage, I mean questing. So she quests for 2, is a 1-drop, one of the most efficient at doing what she does. And then we need to fill in our deck. Since we're playing Prince Eric and basically fairly large creatures, we'll want to be playing Elsa, who's going to allow us to exert our opponent's characters and attack them or challenge them. So Prince Eric is going to get maximum benefit from challenging characters that have been exerted by Elsa. What else is good? Well, there's Magic Brooms with the Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer as a synergy. So Mickey Mouse gives us another top-end 4-drop with 2 lore, makes the brooms cheaper, and whenever the brooms are banished by a challenge, they come back to my hand, which means we get to play them again. So the brooms are going to help defend Maleficent. With Elsa exerting our opponent's characters, we get to sacrifice our brooms, get them back into our hand, and hopefully clean the board without paying too much of a cost in terms of card advantage. So that's the deck list. Let's try it in action now, and shuffle things first. Oh, the joys of shuffling. Somewhat cardboard. I mean, these are proxies. So I guess while I'm shuffling, I will give the reminder to please support the official product upon the release. I certainly will. But for now, I'm at the mercy of playing proxies until the product is actually released. This way we get to have some really cool videos and get to play around, understand the mechanics a bit better. Also note that I'm playing 40-card decks, which allows us to have coherent strategies, since very few cards have been spoiled so far. And I don't really want to play all the vanilla stuff out there. I'd rather have a variety of cards, play some of the more exciting ones, and see some strategies into action. All right. Let me just make sure that the deck is in view. The deck is in view. Then I'll adjust this window here, and we can get things started. All right, well, let's get things started. First, let's see who goes first. I get a 1, not promising. Opponent gets a 5. So our opponent is going to go first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent's hand is Stitch, Hades, Mini, Mulan, Just in Time, Stitch, and Mini. So there's a Just in Time Mulan, which is a very potent combination. 1 drop, 2 drop. We have a 3 in the Mulan. I'd like to make the curve go a little higher, although there is a fairly high density of 4 drops into the deck. So I think I would just keep as is. As for our main strategy, let's see what we get. We get, ooh, 3 Maleficents, 2 Smashes, Elsa, and Magic Brooms. This feels extremely aggressive. We can go, we're probably, we'll want a Maleficent, double Maleficent, and then smash things, or play Elsa, depending on how things go. The Broom is going to go into our ink pool. That seems sound, so I don't think we need to mulligan anything. So our opponent goes first, and it's turn 1. Turn 1, Stitch is going to go in the ink pool, and that'll be a Stitch on turn 1. Passing the turn back to us. Draw a card for turn. Kristoff. I do not overly care about Kristoff for now, so I will ink the Magic Brooms to play a first copy of Maleficent in attack mode. As our opponent, and then we pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent readies, draws a 3-drop Mickey Mouse, which is going to be off curve at this point. Plays a mini in the ink pool, and that'll be a mini that hits the play, and Stitch can safely quest because it can't challenge anything. So questing for 1 brings our opponent to 1 lore. And then turn passes back to us. We get to draw Fire to Cannons. Now we're faced with the interesting decision. Do we want to quest with Maleficent right now, or do we want to wait? And we do not have an actual 2-drop. We do have the double Maleficent. Fire to Cannons cannot go into our ink pool. Fracasser is good removal to smash that Minnie Mouse. So at this point, I think we will want to ink the Elsa. Let's ink a smash. We don't need that much removal. Let's ink a smash and go double Maleficent, keeping this one at the ready so it does not get challenged in the next turn. The next turn we're going to get to fire off some of our removal spells, opening the door to our Maleficents to quest and still keep some of them alive. So I'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent readies. Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse is a little late at this point, so it'll go in the ink pool, and the opponent wombo combos. It's just in time. So opponent just in times a Mulan on turn 3. The whole purpose of just in time being to bring out these big drops and impact the board as early as turn 3. Now that Mulan is quite problematic with the 5 willpower, and whenever the character banishes another character in a challenge, all of your characters get +1. So since our opponent has the bigger threats in terms of willpower and power, our opponent's going to quest because there's nothing to hit. Quest for 2, opponent's at 3, and the turn passes back to us. Alright, we get our ink back. We draw for the turn. We get Prince Eric. So at this point we need to ink something. Getting our opponent's characters exerted is not what we want, so we're going to ink Elsa. Now we have 3. Our options are to smash something, or drop a Kristoff, or play Eric and fire to cannons. Now I think what we're going to want to do is smash fire to cannons to Mulan because it's such a dangerous threat. If we exert our Maleficents to quest, we're going to get our board wiped next turn. So we definitely don't want to do that. Which means that the most ink-efficient play is just to Kristoff. And next turn we're going to play some removal. Either we remove the 2 threats, which might actually be more efficient. We'll see what the board state looks like next turn. For now, let's pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent readies. Draws a card for the turn, it's Hades. Hades cannot go in the ink pool, but Mickey Mouse can. So Mickey's going to hit the ink. Now our opponent can play a Hades with no advantage. But I think it's still the tempo play. So opponent will quest with Stitch and quest for Minnie. Going to 5. The question is, do you quest the Mulan? It's just 1, and then Mulan becomes a target potentially for Kristoff. And then we could go Kristoff, fire the cannon, getting rid of Mulan. With the 2 Hades in hand, that is quite tempting though. But I think our opponent still has to play Hades, not to fall behind on board. So pay 4, drop the Hades, and yet I would question Mulan. Mostly because of the second Hades in hand, so if Mulan falls to combat, it still removes stuff, at least 2 cards from her board, and then Hades is going to get her back. And 6-0 is starting to be quite a big differential between our lore. Nonetheless, turn passes back to us. We draw an Elsa. We do not really want Elsa. But it is also going to be more useful than Prince Eric, probably at this point. So let's ink Eric. And then we have 2 removal spells. I think we want to deal with 2 threats. That way Mulan becomes less effective and we'll keep more Maleficents alive. So if we double spell the Mulan, then our opponent is going to take down 3 Maleficent. If we take down Hades and Minnie, then we'll keep a Maleficent alive. So smash the Minnie and fire the cannons at Hades. Well, Hades has the bigger stats. And if this were a normal game, I would not know about the second Hades. So get rid of 2 cards, and then we quest to try and catch up. We'll lose some of our characters, but questing for 8 applies a lot of pressure. Quest for 8, and pass the turn. Now the turn goes back. Opponent draws a card. It's Goofy. Alright, well, our opponent doesn't have the 5 lore yet, so Goofy's going to go in the ink pool. And then Mulan and Stitch need to go and challenge some of my characters. The Maleficents mostly. So I would go Mulan challenges Maleficent, takes 1. Maleficent hits the bin. Stitch challenges Magnificent. Stitch takes 1. Maleficent hits the bin. And then 4 for Hades. Since I can't play the other card, I might as well just pick up a Hades. Return a character from discard. There's no restriction against Hades looping. And the turn passes back to us. As we draw 1 more card, another smash. Now. Kristoff could challenge Stitch, potentially. And live, and we can smash Hades. Quest with Maleficent. But we can't play Smash and Elsa. But I don't think we want to ink any of these cards at this point. This is a tricky one. This is quite interesting. It's more interesting than the Stitch combo deck that we played last time. There's actually some decisions that we need to make here. I think we want to smash the Hades. Smash Hades. Hades hits the bin. Then we can I think we just quest for 4. If we quest for 4, then there's very bad trades happening. No. Let's take down the Stitch. Quest for 2. I think that's what we want. Maleficent is a lot more efficient at questing, so there's no real point in challenging. And at this point, questing with Maleficent is going to protect Kristoff from Mulan's attack. So we'll keep the 2 lore of Kristoff for another turn. Turn passes back to our opponent, who draws a Moana, having now Hades and Moana in hand, and Mulan on the play. So Mulan will take down Maleficent, because Maleficent is that large of a threat. Second damage counter on Mulan. And since we're not really applying that much pressure, I think I would just Hades loop. Hades for Hades. There's no real reason to do anything else, I think. Well, playing Moana will apply a bit more pressure, but as the Ruby Amber player, I think I just want to control the board now. So back to us. We draw Hercules. Hercules doesn't do very much for us right now. I actually think the game is probably lost, although our opponent is at fairly... We are at 10 lore. So maybe you can just try to accumulate 10 lore on the battlefield to sweep the game. Hercules or Elsa. Probably doesn't matter much. I think we'll play the Elsa. Keep Hercules for a rainy day. Because Hercules does have some impact on the board the turn we play him. Now, trading with Mulan would be a bad move because we know about our opponent's second Hades in hand, and we don't want our opponent to loop back Mulan and have 2 Hades in play. That would be bad. So I think we just pass the turn. Opponent draws. Second Mulan. That is pretty bad. I think our opponent can just play Mulan, double quest, go up to 8. Turn goes back to us. We draw, fire the cannons. Not overly useful in this moment, but we get to play all our stuff if we want to. We can fire the cannon to Hades and play Hercules. I think that's our only move. Fire the cannon at Hades. Take it out of play. Play Hercules exerted. Go for 3 lore. Pass the turn back. And we'll just play whatever we draw and try to sneak in a victory by reaching 20 lore first, which is very unlikely at this point. So opponent needs to fight Hercules first. Mulan's going to fight Hercules. Then take 3. Hercules hits the bin. And the other Mulan gets to get rid of Elsa. Although, at this point, I think I would just take out the Kristoff. Mulan hits the bin. Play Hades for 4. Fetch back the Mulan. Ink the Moana. Play a Donald. Just for the double characters in one turn. Now we are under a ton of pressure. Elsa and exerts. We draw a hook. Alright. That's somewhat helpful. We'll play hook. Get back. Fire the cannons. Elsa's in the fine spot to just quest because Mulan will trade, Hades will trade, and Donald Duck. They'll just bounce off of each other. So I'll pass the turn. Opponent draws Mickey. I'll play Mulan. Then Mulan will trade with Elsa. Just making the exchange. And then Mulan has the trigger. So the character banished another character in challenge, so everything gets +1 lore. Opponent quests for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opponent's at 12. Turn passes back to us. We draw Kristoff. We can double spell again. Fire the cannons. Get rid of Hades. Getting too much lore off of Mulan. And we can play Kristoff. I don't think we want to exert anyone. Just not to give up the Mulan trigger. So I'll pass the turn. Turn goes back. Opponent double spells. Stitch Mickey. Now, is there any disadvantage in questing with Mulan and Donald? I don't think so. Our opponent's getting pretty close, and if I want to take down Mulan, I need to trade everything, and then the board will just take care of itself. Although, Donald probably wants to stay alive, so just quest for 1 with Mulan. Because Donald's going to be able to quest for 2 if our opponent takes something off the board with a Mulan challenge. We draw Fire the Cannon, which is not going to be enough. Take out Stitch. Quest for 3. 1, 2, 3. Getting dangerously close here. Yeah, I'm not sure we needed the quest there. At this point, I mostly want this game to end. Take off Hook. Gets +3. 3 damage. And then opponent quests for 5. Going to 18. Yeah, I think so. There's nothing really we can draw the quest for 1. There's nothing with a haste type ability. We draw Kristoff, and that's the handshake. Good game, opponent. As we cannot stop the next questing, we can make it to 19, but our opponent will win. So we've lost game 1, but it's pretty hard to actually get that turn 3 Mulan is actually very solid, especially on the play. So let's try again with another game and see if we can get more luck with our steel removal spells. I must say it's nice to take cards off the board and just go pew 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 pew. Here's some steel spells, well, cannonballs and smashing things. All good stuff. And even though it felt like we were in a bad position most of the game, we did make it up to 19 lore. There's the power of these Maleficents. You don't even need to keep them all alive. If you can just keep 1 alive for an extra turn or keep another character alive for an extra turn by drawing the aggro into Maleficent, you can generate quite a bit of lore advantage. And if we were on the play there, we probably would have won the game. I think triple Maleficent is likely going to win a lot of games. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of mass removal comes in. Oh, hello, Doronko. I hope you're having fun. Sorry, I'm not used to live videos and I didn't see your comment in chat. But thank you for watching. All right. So let's see if we can get a better game 2. Or a game 2 that's more in our favor. I don't think we can get much better game than 1918. Both players are out of cards into top decks. So we have Maleficent, Brooms, Smash, Kristoff, Hook, Mickey, and another Smash. So before we do them all again, it's always a good idea to look and see, kind of plan our curve. So Maleficent for 1 is good. Brooms for 2, which means I probably want Mickey on 4 to go with the Brooms. I have a Smash or a Kristoff on 3. And the other cards I really just want to ensure I have cards for my ink pool. So I'm going to send the Captain Hook back. Draw 1. And Hook goes back in the deck. We've traded a hook for a hook. 2 for the price of 1. And we don't know where the other one went. That's okay. What does our opponent have? Opponent gets Mickey, Minnie, Mickey, Goofy, Mulan, 5, 6, Minnie, and Stitch. Our opponent is a bit of a combo deck, trying to hit that just in time, and playing a ton of 5-drops. So at this point, I would send everything back. I think so. Keeping a mini is interesting, but I would just send everything back. So I draw a fresh 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, and we do hit the just in time. I find that's likely going to be the case with this partial mulligan rule. Either you're going to plan your curve and mull 1 to 3 cards to smooth out your curve, or you're going to be super aggressive and mull your game, most of your hand, trying to hit that specific card every time. Alright, so we'll go first since we lost game 1. We don't draw on the first turn. Unfortunately, that hook cannot go in my ink pool, so that is going to be a bit of a forced 4-drop. But we're going to open up with a smash in the ink and Maleficent in play. And I'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws a 1-drop. Hey, hey! So a bunch of Goofies. Also, Goofy's not fully spoiled yet, but I assume 2 lore based on the stats. And if it's less than 2 lore, I feel like it's completely unplayable. It already feels pretty bad at 2 lore. Alright, actually I should keep the same positions as last time. 1 card in the ink, hey hey on the battlefield. It's a 1-2 whenever it attacks. Whenever it quests, you get to add 1 power to another character. Turn passes back to us. We draw Hercules. Hercules is good. It's going to allow us to protect Maleficent, which means we will no longer want to play that Kristoff on turn 3. So let's ink Kristoff, play the brooms, and we don't want to quest with Maleficent and get taken down by a pesky little 1-drop. So I'll pass the turn back. Opponent draws a Mickey. And our opponent has bigger plans for turn 3. Unfortunately, nothing for turn 2. So maybe he should have kept the mini. But hey, yeah, our opponent's going to be a bit behind. So inks a card. That was a Mickey. His turn 3 is just in time. And our opponent will pass the turn back. You don't want to lose the hey hey to a magic room challenging the chicken. I guess that's what you call cleaning up after dinner. So we draw for turn. Another Mickey. We do not want that second Mickey. What we are looking for is a bodyguard Hercules. As long as Hercules is exerted, our opponent can't challenge our other characters and will quest for 3. Bringing us to 3. So I realize these numbers are behind, upside down. Then we'll pass the turn to our opponent. Opponent draws for turn another Goofy, which will go in the ink pool immediately. Opponent just in time is a Mulan. Because Mulan's one of the best 5-drops we have right now. Alright. Hey Hey cannot challenge Maleficent because of Hercules. And Hey Hey doesn't want to hit Hercules, so... Yeah, I think the opponent just passes turn. Because Mulan's going to turn Hey Hey into a pseudo-Maleficent with its questing. He's a questing booster. So turn goes back to us. We draw another Mickey. That's a lot of Mickeys. We do have the Smash, which we could play. At this point, I think we just ink a Mickey, play a Mickey, making the magic brooms more interesting to attack with. And then we just quest with everything. Quest for 4, bringing us to 7. And now the interesting thing is if our opponent tries to attack Hercules with Mulan, which is almost forced at this point, then our magic brooms will be able to trade with Mulan and we'll get them back off of Mickey Mouse's ability. So we pass the turn back, opponent draws a Mickey. At this point in time, Mickey will hit. Actually, Mickey's stronger than he. Nah, Mickey will hit the bin. And now our opponent will take down Hercules with Mulan, taking 3 points of damage. And Hey Hey will go and hit Maleficent, taking out our big threat. And our opponent has to play Hades, not to fall too far behind on the board. The unfortunate 3-2 with no abilities at this time, because there's just the just-in-time in the graveyard. Discard pile. Graveyard feels spookier. Turn goes back to us. Fire the cannon. Oh, that's a good one. So now we have the option of inking a smash and then going fire the cannon, Captain Hook, bring back fire the cannon. Which I'm pretty confident we want to do. Hades can't deal with Mickey. Yes, that's what we want to do. So we want to ink our smash. And then Magic Brooms will hit Mulan. So they will trade. Mulan hits the bin. Magic Brooms. Whenever one of your broom is banished, you may return it to your hand. So we get the brooms back. And then also the broom costs 1, but we don't have enough ink. So we'll fire the cannon, get rid of Hades. Hades goes away. Mickey's going to clean house. Take down the Hey Hey. Take a point of damage. And then we get a hook. So 1 for fire the cannon, 4 for hook. Then we get back fire the cannon into our hand. Ready to dispose our opponent's threat. Then we'll pass the turn. So now we're ahead on lore with the only things on the board. Opponent draws another Hades. I think the opponent wants to Goofy into the ink pool. Now our opponent needs stuff. Moana doesn't have enough strength, and trying the quest race is not going to work. So I would go Hades and pick up Hey Hey to double spell this turn. Then turn passes back to us. Draw for the turn, Hercules. Now we have fairly tough characters on the board with our pair of 3/4s. There's nothing to challenge. But we do have fire the cannons, the broom for 1. Well, I guess we can play everything. So fire the cannons for 1, get rid of Hades. Play the brooms for 1 thanks to Mickey. And play Hercules as a bodyguard to protect Mickey and Hook that are slightly more valuable. Arguably by 1 willpower. Then we'll quest for 3, going back into questing mode. And on that note, we'll pass the turn back. Opponent draws a Mickey. Now our opponent's in a very bad spot because Hey Hey would have to attack Hercules, which isn't going to end well. So I guess we just do the ink efficient move and play Moana. Hey Hey can quest, I guess. Try to slow down our clock. Quest for 1. Turn passes back. But really, this game is over. We draw Prince Eric a little too late for him to be quite powerful. Although Eric is pretty good against Moana because he's going to become a 3/3 on the attack. So here our brooms will take care of Hey Hey. We don't even need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we just put on a bigger clock to our opponent. We'll play Eric. We'll quest with everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 15. Passing the turn back. Opponent gets the inks. Opponent needs to challenge us, but the opponent can't even kill Hercules. So the opponent will play Mickey and Minnie as a duo. Invite us to the royal wedding. And the opponent will pass the turn back. Actually, Yeah, the opponent will pass the turn back. Maybe quest for 4. Make the score a bit more reasonable. As we untap, request for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and win the game. And that is game 2. 1-1. So, let's see what happens in the tiebreaker. A classic best 2 out of 3. This was a bit of an unfortunate draw for the Amethyst Ruby deck. Although there was still quite a bit of pressure. It was Hey Hey turn 1, followed by turn 3 Mulan. But it wasn't enough to stop the onslaught from that Steel Amethyst deck. It's going to take a little while, but we'll get used to calling them all of the gemstone names. It's a lot shinier to call them this way. Alright, that's one deck shuffled. Let's go for the second one. I really don't like this Goofy. Hoping that we'll replace it with something better. Also note that I've stopped the curves at 5 and 4 respectively, and we're seeing the games end fairly early. So unless there is a lot of ramp, I don't think we can get much higher in terms of curve. Actually, missing that 2-drop from the Ruby Amber deck put it fairly far behind. That's quite an interesting observation to make. The game is fairly fast-paced, and if you fall behind on board, the opponent can just quest heavily. And then even if you have the stronger characters, by the time you remove them all, you're in a situation where you're outquested, and the opponent has too many riches of lore. Also, this deck just removed everything that our opponent played. And we'll reset the score. This time we'll be on the draw. Opponent will draw to 7 first. Triple Goofy, a Mulan. Just in time, Hades Mickey. So Hades will go back to the deck. We have just in time Mulan. And I guess we can send everything back. We're really looking for a 1-drop and a 2-drop. So I'll keep just in time Mulan as a turn 3 option, and I'll send the rest back. Although we're looking to not find another just in time. That's the downside of this type of mulligan. Oops, and I was supposed to leave them beside until I drew. Well, if I draw a dingo, I'll send it back. 4, 5. Yeah, that's the problem with this type of mulligan. Hitting 2 more just-in-times is not what we want, especially since they cannot go into the ink pool. So they will be essentially dead draws. Oh, well, just-in-time on turn 4 for Moana. Alright, so our opponent goes first. Opponent will want Stitch for pressure, so Mickey hits the ink bin, Stitch goes on field. Oh, actually, we need to draw our hand. Elsa, fire the cannons, Maleficent, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Pair fire the cannons, 2's too much. I'll send one back, Maleficent, still one of my favorite plays. Then we have double Elsa, double Mickey. I would like to get a 2-drop in here. So I think I'm going to mulligan for 3. This time doing the mulligan right. So I draw 3. Double hook any Prince Eric. So I did find my 2-drop, but I also found 2 cards that cannot be inked. Looks like I need to improve my mulligan strategy, or be a bit less aggressive with all of the inkwell symboled cards. Well, our opponent goes Stitch first. Then we go for our draw. We have Kristoff or Elsa. Since we do have the Prince Eric, I think I would rather have Elsa in play. So I'm going to ink Kristoff. And then we want to play Maleficent. Don't care so much about the Stitch questing. What we care about is protecting Maleficent. So having her on play, if our opponent misses the 2-drop, next turn we have the ability to fire the cannon, get rid of it. If we are so lucky. Opponent finds a Stitch, goes in the ink pool immediately, and our opponent passes the turn. We draw. Second Prince Eric. We do not need to. So one of them is going to gladly go in the ink. And here I think we want to be slightly ink inefficient, and fire the cannons on the Stitch. Get Stitch off the board, so we can quest with Maleficent. We're taking advantage of our opponent's weakness. Also, having a fire the cannons in the discard pile is useful, because we're guaranteed to be able to pick it up with Hook later. We'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws a Mickey. That's pretty good. So Mickey hits the ink, and opponent just in time's a Mulan. Turn 3 Mulan. Devastatingly powerful. But that character's ink hasn't dried yet, so we get another turn. We draw a Smash. Now we're a little late for Prince Eric, so we're going to ink him. And for 3, the most efficient play we have is Elsa. So let's go with Elsa. And Maleficent will remain unquested at this time, as we'll pass the turn back. Opponent draws a Goofy. Well, I think with that hand, we simply go for it. Pay 3, just in time, a Goofy. Actually, Moana's more questing power. Just in time, Moana. Mulan will quest for 1. And the clock has begun ticking. 2-1. Turn passes back to us. We draw. Hercules. Hercules is quite nice. Now we need to be able to reach that 4th ink to play Hook. So we're going to ink our Mickey, especially since there's no brooms to be seen. And with Mickey in the ink pool, we get to play Captain Hook. Get to fire the cannon. And at this point, we have the Smash Fire the Cannon wombo combo to take out Mulan next turn. And Moana has the ability to let Mulan challenge, and then, or quest and then challenge. Whenever she quests, you can ready your other princess characters. And Mulan is a princess, so Moana can quest to unexert Mulan, who can double combat. Guess that's the new video game coming out. Double combat. So, back to this. Does Elsa quest? That's the question. If Elsa quests, Mulan can challenge her, and Moana can quest. Actually, Mulan quests, Moana quests, Mulan challenges. But either we get the +1 off Mulan doing the second quest, or we get a +1 on Moana from Mulan challenging one of our characters successfully. So we quest with Elsa. Although no, actually, I'll take that back. We do not quest with Elsa. We'll want to exert Moana because she only has 1 power. Then we'll be able to hit her with Hook. So I'll just pass the turn. Opponent draws a Minnie. Minnie's tempting here because she's a princess. But I think our opponent has to go for the just-in-time number 3, bringing out Goofy. Mulan quests. 1 lore. Moana quests for 3, bringing the total to 5. And when she quests, we get to ready our other princess characters, and they cannot quest for the rest of the turn. So Mulan cannot quest. And turn passes to us. So our opponent's at 5. There's no real reason why. Well, actually, yeah. Let's go that way. We are going to take down Moana, but the questing for 3 is quite valuable. There's an argument for not questing Moana there, because if I freeze her with Elsa, then Elsa can't actually challenge Moana, and we can't take her down this turn. But we gotta make some decisions as we draw Fire to Cannons. So now we get to double spell, Fire to Cannons, and smash Mulan for 5. Mulan goes away. And then for well, challenge Mulan for 5. Each of my character taking 1 point of damage. And Mulan taking 5. Now at this point I want to quest with Maleficent, I think. Yes. Let's begin our questing. Get some lore, and keep some of the aggro off of our other characters. If Goofy actually challenges her, it's probably the worst. But Goofy's the one who can take down our other characters. So by questing with Maleficent, we're actually protecting Elsa and Captain Hook with some respect. And if our opponent doesn't challenge Maleficent, then we're in a good position anyways. So opponent gets to tap out, play Hey Hey as well as Minnie Mouse. Moana doesn't want to challenge. So Goofy will take down Maleficent because it's too much pressure and he can just take 1 point of damage. Moana will quest because Elsa. And questing for 3 is fairly powerful. And then turn passes back to us. And that's actually the point at which we see the toll of the just-in-time. So just-in-time is really strong on turn 3, but our opponent having to just-in-time on turn 4 and on turn 5 has actually put them behind on card and cards in the inkwell, as we're sitting pretty with our 4 cards in the inkwell at this time. Getting rid of that Goofy is a little annoying, but we don't really need to get rid of it. We'll be able to get rid of Moana this turn. They do have a Fire to Cannon. Just the one. I might want to get rid of Hey Hey, because Hey Hey can turn Minnie Mouse into a 3/3. And we'll want Hercules to come in and protect. So we'll play Hercules. Then we'll Fire to Cannons at Hey Hey, getting rid of it. And by getting rid of Hey Hey, Hey Hey cannot pump Minnie Mouse into a 3/3, which means their opponent's going to be hard pressed to take care of our Hercules. And then we will want Elsa to challenge Moana. That's pretty much what we want. We want the maximum amount of damage on our characters without the character actually going in the discard pile. And then Hook can quest. Going up to 5 lore. Pass the turn to our opponent, who's starting to run out of resources. Draws a Minnie Mouse, plays the Minnie Mouse. And then it's the hard spot. Well, Goofy has evasive, so Goofy will quest. And Minnie can remain as is. Opponent's at 10. Turn passes back. Draw a card for the turn, Magic Brooms. We can get our Fire to Cannons back with Hook, and we can fire it off by inking our Magic Brooms, but there's nothing that's a good target right now. And that was an interesting question. Do we want to freeze and challenge one of the Minnie Mouses, or do we just want to quest? Let's play the Hook. Get back Fire to Cannon. And then let's play the aggressive route. Elsa will exert a Minnie Mouse. Hook will go and fight that Minnie Mouse, taking an extra point of damage, removing her from the board. Hercules will quest, going up to 6 lore. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. As much as I hate playing Goofy, that Goofy is actually doing a lot of work. Opponent draws a Goofy. Opponent has nothing to play. Quests with Goofy. Going up to 12. And since we might be pulling the same trick with Elsa, our opponent probably shouldn't quest with Minnie. Because us challenging the Minnie takes off 2 cards and 2 lore. Now we have the faster clock, as our opponent's at 12, just putting some clock on us with Goofy. So Mickey will not quest. Passing the turn back to us. We draw Magic Brooms. I can double broom here. Which is probably what we want. So at this point, I think we still try to be board efficient. So we exert the Minnie, fight Minnie with Hook. Taking a 3rd point of damage. Barely living is the best way of living. Maximum value. Then we quest for 2, going up to 8. Clock really being the same as our opponent, so we need a faster clock, which a pair of Magic Brooms is going to allow. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. Opponent draws. Mickey Mouse can go to the battlefield. Goofy quests to 14. Back to us. The race is on. And at this point, we draw Maleficent. We will want to quest with everything, most likely. Oh no, we need to take out Mickey Mouse. So Elsa and second Hook are going to exert and fight Mickey Mouse. Bringing Hook to 3 damage. We get a quest for 4. Having a faster clock. Going up to 12. And speaking of fast clocks, what is better than a Maleficent? But I think we still want a Hook. Because we have a second fire to cannons in the discard pile. Next turn we'll be able to actually remove Goofy. We pass the turn back. Opponent draws a Stitch. Stitch comes in. Goofy quests. 16 lore. Turn passes back to us. And then we go double the fire to cannons. Take out the Goofy. Play the Maleficent. And we might as well take out the last threat. So, Stitch. And Hook's going to fight Stitch. Our Hooks are taking a lot of damage. A lot of red dices on this side. Then we cast a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bringing us to 17. Our opponent has nothing on the board. What's the draw? Board wipe? No board wipe. It's a Donald Duck. Goes to the battlefield. And that'll be game. As we quest with everything. And our opponent can't stop us from winning this game of Lorcana. And this is it. This is the Steel Amethyst deck. Playing Mickey Mouse's Hercules, the brand new Prince Eric, which we inked quite a bit. I think we might have played 1 in the 3 games. But Smash, clearly the All-Stars as the new card that was spoiled today. Doing a lot of work removing some of these tough threats, especially in combo with Fire to Cannons. If you have multiple Fire to Cannons, you can deal 4, deal 2, deal 3, deal 5. Lots of versatility. And by playing these early threats, you get to defend your Maleficent. You get to put more pressure with Elsa. And the deck really worked pretty well together. We were rarely short on resources. I think we made it to turn 8 or 9 there. And we always had something to play. With our curve stopping at 4. So keep that in mind when deck building. Curve stopping at 4, we could still play out cards every turn. It's these cards like Just in Time, where you're playing these 2 cards and basically throwing cards away to try and get a bit of an advantage. You need to be more careful about those, as the deck was stuck on 3 ink for the majority of the game, yet still using most of its ink for most of the game. So that's it for today. I hope that some of you enjoyed the liveness of this video. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. I hope that you've enjoyed the decks and the gameplay. I'll try to post more of these. So please subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed what you've seen. Take a look at some of my more in-depth analysis videos. There's some pretty cool stuff there. And feel free to discuss them in the comment. I'd love a good discussion with some of the viewers. So thanks a lot for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.